So today is all about compost. It's one of these discussions, you know, when you started with some people going, oh, you can't compost this, you shouldn't compost that, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, we pretty much compost everything. There's certain aspects obviously we don't, like meat, dairy and bread and that sort of stuff, but you know, at the end of the day, you know, everything else goes into our compost bin. I always loved the idea of having one of those, you know, when you have a shitload of bacteria in it, they get really hot and break every single thing down. Ours is more like a wormery. Well, it's more like an equal opportunity compost heap, because we've got woodlice in there, we've got other little critters in there, we've got a shitload of worms in there. So, and obviously, you know, they're munching away on our crap to create more crap, which then goes on to the plants. So let's have a look at the compost, what you can and cannot compost, or should not, shall we say it that way, and then, you know, take it from there. So my compost bins are back here in relation to the garden. That's the garden. And here are the compost bins. So I've got my compost bins back here, pretty much sheltered area in the garden. The worms really don't like sitting in full sun, nor do they like an awful lot of wind. And also, as you can see, it's not a traditional wormery. I mean, it's basically just a compost heap and I just dump my crap on top and then I put cardboard on top and then everything is getting munched. So what I have to do right now is actually take the top layer off, put it into the other one, this one over there, and then get basically the worm casting or the worm shit from the bottom out, put it on the plants, and then they can live in the other one. That's what it looks like just now, and that's loads of worms. And right now they're feeding on a coffee filter. And yes, you can compost coffee. I mean, basically digging around with my hands, it's more or less digging in worm and woodlice shit. Doesn't smell, thank God. And for all the people that keep on saying, you know, you really shouldn't put too much coffee grains into your compost because it's acidic. The acidity in coffee is water soluble. So when you make coffee, when you percolate it, actually all the acid is going to be coming out. So the coffee grinds in itself are pH neutral. So you can dump them in. However, when they're actually coming out of the percolator, they're pretty much sterilized, and worms and woodlice and everything, they like to feast on decaying stuff. So there won't be, you know, heading towards the coffee grounds immediately because they're basically sterilized. They're clean as can be. I've got a little compost bin in the kitchen where I leave them in, and then obviously I put some other, you know, onion clippings and all that sort of stuff in it so that they basically start to rot down or become dirty again. So again, you can compost coffee granules. So for me to actually get to all the worm shit I need to put on my bed, on my bedding plants, I have to take the top layer off. In the first few centimeters, that's where the baby worms live, as well as the eggs. So I'm going to take that off, put that into a separate bucket, and then basically just, you know, move them from there into that one, put a little bedding on it and everything, and then, you know, they're happy and I got their crap and I'm happy with their shit. So what I'm doing just now, it's like taking off the top layer and put that into the bucket, because this is where, you know, all the babies and the eggs should be living. Some of the stuff still needs to break down, but I'm just going to move it from this bin into the next one anyway. So this is where they're going to go, and I'm going to add some, you know, broken down egg carton to the mix, and then I'm going to put the worms underneath there, fold that over, and then they should be happy. And then we just keep on dumping stuff on top, as we always do. So worms breathe through their skin, so there has to be enough oxygen within the compost as well as moisture. Also, they don't actually have teeth, so they don't chew the food. What they do, they take small bits in, and then as they move, it then gets ground down in their intestines, and then they shit it back out. So it's not that they're going, ow, ow, ow. They don't have teeth. So obviously, you know, you should really cut the stuff, chop it down a little bit anyway, so because it makes it much easier for them to eat. The one thing I don't add too much or at all really is citrus fruit. In my world, it just doesn't fit into the whole equation of what I should be composting. So that is one thing I don't. Cardboard. Cut down cardboard. We all buy a shitload online. Cut down cardboard and put that in. They love that. Obviously not like Vogue and stuff like that. Don't. Those magazines, you just don't. Just put them on the coffee table and look at them once in a while. But if you have plain newspaper and cardboard, they love that too. And also when you're talking about the ratio of brown and green, so it's more or less 4 parts brown to 3 parts green. So what is brown? Brown is leaves. It's all carbon. Leaves, cardboard, these sort of things. You know, this is all brown. So then obviously then you have the green stuff, which is nitrogen, and this is all the rest. And to the question if you can add manure or shit to the compost, nothing that eats meat. So no dog shit, no cat shit, and also, you know, no human shit. Fine if you would be a vegan, but you know what, just don't crap in your own compost. So in manure also, it has to be mature manure. Otherwise, if it is fresh, it will create too much heat. You also have to make sure that there is drainage within your compost for the excess moisture obviously to go. Here it just goes in the ground. So if you would have like a plastic bottom or anything like that, you know, so that the water is accumulating, that is not good. There's loads of different worms, obviously. I've got red wigglers in there, and you get like night crawlers, and the difference in between night crawlers and red wigglers is night crawlers are mainly active at night and they're bigger. You get like African night crawlers and stuff like that, but you have to be careful here in Germany because it does get really cold here, and if I put like African night crawlers in there, they will probably die. I would have to make sure that my compost doesn't get too cold because they really wouldn't like it. You know what, but I'm happy with the stuff I've got in there. I mean, like I said, you know, it is an equal opportunity compost, and it is like a major city in there. Well, this is pretty much all I have to say about composting. If you don't have one already, go out there and create one. You can obviously buy one of those wormeries online. You can buy worms online, by the kilo, by the pound, whatever. Just make sure that you get the right worms. If there are exotic worms, you know, then you have to make sure that you keep the compost bin or the wormery warm in winter if you live somewhere cold. I cannot stress it enough. Don't crap in your compost. So that's me for the day. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.